Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another round of Rush Racing League. It is back to business as usual. We traded high lap counts for high tire degradation in the deserts of Qatar. It is a very, very tough track when it comes to tire degradation, so drivers will have to be on their absolute A game in the management realm if they want to get good results here tonight. My name is Patrick Coleman, aka Ruckus, and I'll be one of your hosts and commentators here for tonight's action. And alongside me is a man that you know him, you love him, the Div1 Maestro of Kaus. How you doing tonight, mate?
I'm good, Ruckus. Thanks very much for the kind words. Keen to see how these guys go at a very tough track in a different way. Need to try to get the lap times down and try to get the overtakes done at the start finish. You might see a few moves in the middle sector, maybe into that famous triple right hander. Potentially could see some good battles tonight, but we'll wait and see, hold our breath. But yeah, keen to get started and keen to get this qualifying underway.
Speaking of one such qualifying, we're going to go ahead and take you trackside very momentarily. So it should be a fun time here in Qatar. Um, I like commentating this track. Driving it, bit of a different story, but we're gonna go ahead and just jump you straight to the trackside. And here we go. It is a nigh full grid here. We are just missing one of the Ferraris, and then we would have that full grid. So should be a good time here tonight. Really looking forward to it. And I need a little something to cheer me up after Red Bull just seemingly fell apart in the IRL Japanese qualifier. But they have some good chance to have better fortunes here tonight. Murakidan, he was a star driver last time out, fighting for the win. He is back in that Red Bull. And I do see some new names, particularly HRT Martin
Hmm.
and Zach's user are new names, although drivers do have a tendency to sometimes just run under a different alias, so that there's a good chance that that could be the case this time around. So we'll just have to see. You'll probably get some information from the Twitch chat at some point, as they always give me very good information. So Zach Boy, actually, so Zach Boy and Martin are both reserves as well as Midas. So we have a handful of reserves here tonight. Fat Cat in the Aston Martin, and Ryan Adair, who is practically an unofficial Div1 driver at this point in the Ferrari. So I know we were talking a little bit about this track earlier, but what are your thoughts on this Losail International Circuit here, Kaus?
Yeah, I think it has some very interesting characteristics that you don't really see at other circuits. It being like still a Grand Prix grade level circuit. It's not one of those street circuits. It feels quite narrow. I know that of course this circuit is used mainly was exclusively for MotoGP and has now started to make its way onto the grid over the last few seasons. I think its first debuted at COVID season in 2020. But yeah, I think it's been a really good integration into the calendar. I think it has some really nice flowing circuit. I do enjoy driving it. But if you make a mistake, if you take too much speed, if you miss that crucial braking zone, then you might find yourself getting some penalties during the Grand Prix. I'm just jumping on board with Ryan Adair, starting a lap here. Got a bit of snap of overspeed going out of T1, so he might abandon that lap. But yeah, I do enjoy this track record. So I think it's quite fun to drive, but we'll see how these Div1 drivers take to the roads of Qatar.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much everything you said is correct, except it was 2021 that it started, but close enough. But the important stuff is that it was originally created as a MotoGP track, and it's interesting just seeing the evolution of this track as Andre jumps up to provisional pole with the first banker lap of the night, a 1:21.2, and immediately it's broken by Chandler's, who jumps up by a to a 1:21.0. And the thing is that this track has really just kind of made a name for itself. It's a popular track for endurance racing. It hosts the annual Qatar 1812 kilometer, which normally is the season opener for WEC, but due to shenanigans happening in this part of the world at the moment, it's been rescheduled to the end as M. John does invalidate right at the last corner here, and he'll just peel straight on into the pits. So, just some extra information about this track. This track actually opened up quite a while ago, so it's actually, in terms of construction and opening, it is actually older than the other three Middle Eastern Formula One tracks. It was actually opened in 2004, September 30th, 2004. So 21 years ago, this track was opened up. So it's a pretty old track, like you mentioned earlier, originally designed for MotoGP, as Aiden is rated, does jump to the top of the times with a 120.9. Figured it's only going to be a matter of time until we saw those drivers get into the 120s. But now it's going to be, we'll see who can try to close into the 119s. But it's used by a lot of different series at the moment. You have Formula One, MotoGP, WEC. Those are the big ones. I believe there's some other series that tend to use it as well. Some other local championships end up using this track. I think like the Formula Regional Middle Eastern, I think also uses this track. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun one here tonight. Tire drag is gonna be the big thing because like you said, it's a very flowy track. And a lot of those tracks that do have a really solid flow are usually more suited to drivers who can manage their tires better. Think of Barcelona as well, and also China. Those are two tracks that are often comparable to just how rough the tire drag can be around this circuit. But this is the only circuit that has a mandatory tire stint limit in the real Formula One Grand Prix. I think it's about 20 something laps, I would say. I think. No, I think it's like 17 or something like that. I know it happened in 2024 and also. Or it started in 2023. I know it was a big issue in 2025 as well. See Maragdon locking up the brakes pretty consistently around turns 10 and 11, but I think we're in for a good one tonight, guys, as well as the entire week as Fat Cat jumps into the 120s.
Yeah, I'm very interested to. I'm very keen to actually drive on this circuit. I feel, me personally, for my Div 5 race, I'm really excited to get going. I think I did some practice on my own, and I kind of felt that. Excuse me, but that I think that dirty air might be a bit of an issue. Also, that drivers will need to be aware of, need to make sure that they can make it through the corners, keep up to speed, get into that DRS zone, and then hopefully make the overtake into turn one. Um, there are obviously some parts where you can probably get your nose in and try to budge your way through, but I think that might be a bit too high on the risk scale to try to take on board. I think you're better off just tucking in behind and trying to get your overtakes done on the start finish. So I'm keen to see how I go personally, but I'll wait till Tuesday, which is when the Div 5 race will be kicking off. So if you want to watch us race, feel free to stick around then. It'll be around the same time, 7:30 p.m. Sydney Melbourne time. I'm not sure what that translates to other people across the globe. But let's see how these guys get their lap times down. There's still a lot of people that still haven't got their laps in. I see Winter, M. John, and Katusha are all on an out lap, so hopefully they can get a time down so that they can get a decent qualifying position. I think you touched it before, but I think we've got a lot of reserves in tonight, Rekus. I think we've got a lot of individuals that we don't normally see. Of course, I'm not sure if he's still a championship leader, but Jonno isn't available once again for this race, which means he might be dropping a lot of points and potential, um, closing out the championship on the board. But that's something that he'll need to be aware of. There's a lot of fast drivers in this Div 1 um, grid, so we'll see how see if someone else can take the reins. I think McJammy will be one to have a look at, and of course Fat Cat as well.
Yeah, McJammy is the one who is the closest to being able to pull off that particular statistic. But even as it sits right now, even if it's a grand slam here for McJammy, he still won't have the championship lead. Still, or he'll be really close to it. He might be able to take it, but it'll be just barely. And I think M. John, or not, sorry, not M. John, Jonno, he's doing this on purpose to make the championship interesting. He wants to increase the difficulty a little bit, turn that scaling slider up a bit on the difficulty because he's had it too easy so far in this championship. But all jokes aside, yeah, hopefully we do see him back here soon. Hopefully everything is all right. But in the meantime, McJeremy is going to be the one that's really going to start closing the gap. Especially if he gets a win here, he's going to be in a really good spot to go for that Div 1 championship here. We are just about halfway through the season now, which is crazy to say. Yeah, we're actually officially in the second half of the season now. So we got this round, and then we go to Mexico, then Imola for another sprint. The final sprint weekend of the season, followed by Baku, Canada, the last 100% race of Belgium, a Monaco, which I have heard is actually expected to be a night race. So Monaco under the lights is going to be absolutely spectacular. And then we go to Zandvoort, and then we wrap things up in the final week of May with the home of British motorsport, Silverstone. So a pretty banger calendar coming through. I'm sure the it's gonna come up soon. I don't know when it's gonna arrive, but it's gonna come up soon where we're gonna see the channel points. You guys will be able to use your channel points to actually say which races are gonna be on the calendar. You get to go ahead and buy a race to put on the current calendar. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm gonna buy Miami again just for Miami to not show up on the calendar because Miami I think is still a competitively bugged track. Some leagues will still run it on occasion, but it's not a popular pick due to I think it is a game-breaking bug that's been around for a couple of months now. It actually got swapped out last season for Rush for this exact same bug. Um, I think it's something having to do with like the in-game checkpoints where if you cross the line at a certain angle, it won't actually count your lap, so you can easily end up a lap down without even really trying. So, I think that was the bug that was the reason why I kind of got competitively blacklisted. I'd have to look into it a bit more, but right now we're on board with JDI as he is making his way through the last handful of corners around this circuit. He's only got 2 more corners left to go, but one of them is really easy to invalidate on. Ooh, a bit of a wiggle there from the bringer of thunder as he's making his way across the line, using a good amount of the curb, taking the F1 Esports line to the line, P3, but still half a second away from McJamie and Fat Cat. So that is a gulf of a margin that he's going to try to manage here.
Yeah, it's going to be tall order for this grid to catch up to these front two fellas. I was on board with McJammy for his lap there, Rekus, and he did go purple in Sector 1 and 3, but I don't think he went purple in Sector 2, so maybe Fat Cat has found a little bit of more time in that Sector 2 that maybe McJammy could match, and then potentially we can be in the 119s. As I say that, Fat Cat has broken the seal, 119.9, so fantastic lap from Fat Cat to set the pace for the rest of the grid to catch up to, and hopefully we can see McJammy try to match that. We're reaching the 4 minute part of qualifying, so probably see everyone that is on track duck into the pit so they can get ready for their last run. And we'll see who can get the plaudits and all the praises. On that Miami point you were making there, Rekis, I also think that there was a bit of an issue coming out of the last turn going into the Las Vegas Strip. I think there was a lot of F1 esports drivers complaining about that curb, where it just felt like a coin flip sometimes, whether or not you would get like a bad entry over that curb because it was the fastest way around the track. So I know that was an issue that they were running into. I was watching some Jonno Opme the other day, and I was watching him navigate that circuit. So yeah, we'll keep everything rush racing for the moment though, and we'll get to the next few minutes of qualifying. Everyone ducking into the pits, getting on those new boots, getting ready to go. Meraki Don, I think, is the first driver out on track. We'll see how he can negotiate these set of corners, and we'll jump on board with him for the first run, Wreckers.
I hate to be that guy, but
Hmm.
the Las Vegas Strip and the Miami track are like on opposite sides of the country there. But I know what you
Oh my
mean.
god, I'm silly. Yes, you're
I know
correct.
what you mean. I actually there's no official name for that long straight, and it's like that really awkward kind of chicane that's right before that massive back straight. So I did come up with a nickname actually for that back straight. As Fat Cat's actually retired from the session, so
Hmm.
the current pole sitter, you feel like he has gotten the most out of it as we begin rush hour here at Rush Racing League. So actually, I've nicknamed that back straight I-95 because that is a very popular highway area that runs through most of the country actually. Particularly in Florida, you actually use I-95 quite a bit. Just like we have Marakidon using the start finish straight to begin his lap, burning a good amount of battery down into turn one. Very nice of that, using a little bit of the rubbing in the curve to accelerate. And then he's going to go ahead and make his way to the end of sector one. He's got 2 more corners left to go. These two 90-degree right-handers. And it's so easy to invalidate right here, but you won't have another shot to really go at it. He is improving though, but as it sits, it won't be quite enough to get pole position. He will have to find an extra 200ths, which isn't a lot of time, but when you're racing, even trying to find 1,000th is always so tough. So we'll see what the Red Bull driver can do. He's going to go ahead and continue to race on here. The driver from California is going to go ahead and try. There is a car way off in the runoff there that he will just go up high. I believe that was a Alpine. So now he's going to go ahead and just sight his way through traffic. And out was a very unfortunately placed car. And he's going to come across the line. He does improve, but actually, I'm looking at the wrong Red Bull. He's up into P6. So, it is an improvement. He did jump up a spot or two, but I was actually thinking of McJammy, who needs to really get an improvement. So, he's going to go ahead and go forward here. McJammy is going to try to see if he can mimic the same improvement as his teammate, because if he can, he will jump into pole position as the qualifying timer has ran out. And now it is everybody. Oh, and he's invalidated, so McJammy will not improve. We'll go down to the next driver. It'll be JDI, going to be the next one to come across the line in the top three. Can he upset the order? He needs to really find some improvement here. Currently 7/10 off of provisional pole. We have a few drivers that are already done. Midas will not be able to set a time across the line. He does improve his time, but not his position. We're going to jump over to Martin, who hasn't set a lap yet either. So Martin, one of the reserves here tonight. Oh, he's invalidated as well. So invalidations are pretty common here on this track. So very unfortunate there. But he will come across the line. No time set for either McLaren. And I got a feeling it's for the same exact reason. They attempted to set lap times, but both will get. I I know it's gonna be under investigation, but I did see Martin actually just invalidate all of his laps. And I think Midas might have done the same thing. So I don't think they did anything wrong. They just couldn't get to grips with the track limits, which they are tough around here.
Yeah, agreed. I feel for the McLarens. It's very easy to get an invalidation. You saw Mick Jamie almost put his inside left front just slightly outside of that white line, and straight away gets the invalidation and that didn't allow him to fight for pole position, unfortunately. So he'll have to settle for second best behind Fat Cat. So hopefully, maybe the McLarens can make it up in the race and get the speed going when we get to the Grand Prix. Your order here for the front row will be Fat Cat and McJammy. Aiden is Raiden will round out P3, and your grid follows Chandler's, JDI, M. John, Andre, Meraki Don, Ryan Adair, and Wonton to round out your top 10. Swith, Dido, Winter, Katusha, Vettel, Pop Top, Zach's User, Midis, and Martin to close out the back end of the 10. We're ready to go here, Rekus. We're in the thick of it of the season here at Rush Racing League. We're in round number 10, and we'll see how these Division 1 negotiators, also known as drivers, fare at the Qatar circuit here. LaSalle International Circuit, I think it's called, Rekus. You'll correct me
Yep.
if I'm wrong.
Yep, you got it right.
Beautiful. I do have some memory in the bank there, so that's good. I think I heard you say it at the beginning, so you clocked over a bit, But yeah, we'll see how we go at the beginning of the race. The run down to turn 1 is decent enough for you to make some positions, so we'll see how see who comes off number 1 and see who comes off second best here, Rekus.
Yeah, I think that turn one is gonna be very crucial here today. So I've seen that somebody's running a China setup on this track. Interesting stuff. I mean, they are both very tire heavy, like tire degradation heavy circuits, so I can see the vision. But yeah, that's an interesting one. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be a fun one here. I do like this track. I love commentating for it. I've commentated some absolute banger races here in the past. I've also commentated a wet race here at one point, but we're gonna see as the heat ramps up here in the desert, and it is lights out and away we go here in Qatar. We're already seeing a few drivers jockey for position on the widest part of the track. A little bit of contact. We do see a Sauber running wide. That's going to be JDI. Running a bit wide, bit of contact, and oh, it is already chaos here. Katiusha just off the track already. Getting involved in some real fights here on the track. Fat Cat has started to run away as Andre has fallen his way down the order. Vettel is out, and safety car on lap 1 here. Martin will get a 10-second penalty for colliding with Vettel, taking out the Alpine. But, oof. Yeah, this has already been a chaotic start to this one, Kaus.
Yeah, there was a messy start at the beginning there. A messy kind of negotiating turns 4 and 5, I think it was, from Martin and Vettel. It looked like Vettel got put off second best and then got turned around, and yeah, it was all kinds of messy at the back there. JDI coming off really worse for wear at the beginning of this Grand Prix, down 8 positions from his starting position. I think he started around the P5 position. He did have that in the qualifying position until Aiden Raiden did take away P3 away from him. But our front 4, Fat Cat, McJammy, Aiden Raiden, and Chandler's haven't moved a bit The needle hasn't been moved between them in terms of position, so we'll see if someone can make the move going into the start finish when the safety car gets put into the pit. Speaking of the pit lane, it is being activated by John, who's going to be darting in. Might looking at getting a front wing change there. We also have Andre Pop Top, Martin, Zax, Midis, and Winter. A lot of people coming in to change their boots and wings, and very early on, I'll be honest. So, as you mentioned, Rekus, this is a high degradation track. Are they thinking they can get a big distance on these medium compound tires?
From my experience, this track is usually a two-stop. Tires can maybe go a max. I mean, tire. The real life Qatar Grand Prix has like a 17 to 18 tire maximum tire stint duration, so you're not gonna get a whole lot off the tires. Metis running the soft compound tires, you're really not gonna get a whole lot of anywhere on those tires. You'll be quick for certain, yeah, but I mean those tires might even burn out while you're under the safety car. This track is, I mean, the dry delta heat compared to just the way that the circuit flows, it's really not meant. Realistically, it's not meant for four wheels, but they still use it for four wheels anyway. But yeah, I mean, you could get a good way of the way on those hard compound tires. You will definitely still need to make another pit stop for some mediums at the end. I don't really foresee anyone going to the end on any of those guys getting to the end on their compound. Martin, he'll probably be able to get to like around lap 11 maybe before swapping tires again, but it's usually a two-stop around this track. The tire deck is extremely rough here at Qatar.
Yeah, and we're seeing both McLarens, obviously Martin doing the mediums to jump on, but looks like Midas opted for the soft, so probably looking to get an early stop in the early stages of the Grand Prix if you're going to jump on those red ringed tyres, as we see Dito darting into the pits to also get some new boots and a new nose. So he will need to obviously navigate the circuit from the back of the grid. Maybe might get lucky and dart in front of Midas. No, Midas will drive past him, and Dita will be plumb last with the remaining drivers, with Vettel out of the session. So we'll wait for those last three cars to get around. They should be able to catch up to the pack in time. We might see the safety car in this lap. I got a nice shot of the cars coming through. I think it's turn number 5. On board with Mick Jamie there. That was a nice angle that I got to view there. That was phenomenal. Yeah, interesting. Going to see how this restart goes, and if any of these drivers can make some moves, maybe some strategies, get those tires nice and warm, ready to rock and roll. But yeah, we'll. I think we'll be seeing Fat Cat and Mick Jamie get into some tussles in the near future, hopefully. Nothing crazy, but I wouldn't mind some battling out the front, Wreckers.
I think we're all in that same boat. I think we all want drivers to really battle it out here for the win. And yep, safety car is coming in this lap, so we should be back underway here very, very shortly. As Fat Cat now will lead the field, trying to get some extra heat into those hard tires to get ready to give it a go, as he will be leading us to green, and we'll see if the green machine can stay in P1 at the green flag. The safety car is officially in. He is just going to go for it. We are back underway, and oh, look how punchy some of these guys are being. Aiden is Raiden already having Chandler side by side. A lot of cars already trying to fight for position here in the opening stages, going side by side around turn 1. Both Salvers and both V-Cars going side by side around turn 1. At different parts of the racing track, Pop Top Bongo will give one onto Andre. And ooh, they get so close here, but they will continue up at the front. It is a good launch for Fat Cat, but McJeremy is still hot on his heels, determined to not let him really run away here in this one. He's going to continue to try to close in that gap, but Fat Cat does seem to have some really solid pace around the Little Sail International Circuit. Now, it's really hard to follow through Sector 2 here. It gets very curvy, very quickly. So here we go. McJammy now gonna really try to dial up the pressure. Meraki Don just a bit further back. He's trying to go side by side with the other Esteban and Watanabe. Trying to get something to happen here. Trying to force some kind of move. He pretty much just staying glued right to the diffuser of that Aston Martin. Almost going straight into the Venturi tunnels themselves. He's going to just stay right in there. Oh, he's thinking about it. He is definitely thinking about it. He's going with a MotoGP approach, trying to find the slimmest of margins to try to overtake on. Fat Cat does still lead, building a small bit of a gap with Dito getting the fastest lap at the moment, as drivers are starting to duke it out all over the circuit. Dropping to the back here, Zach is going to go to try to maybe look at a move here as JDI and Ryan. Oh, Ryan way off the track there. So Ryan just went super wide out of turn 3, and he is falling way down the order. He's down at the dead last at the moment. So Miracidon further up, there's actually all over the place. You can't really, we don't have that many eyes, unfortunately. We are not spiders, but in the meantime, Miracidon did have the move on Wonton, but Wonton has since retaken that position. So, Aiden Raiden and Chandler's going side by side here. And Chandler's will go up into P3. Aiden Raiden's going to try to fight back, but he might have to keep an eye on his rearview mirrors because Meraki and Wonton are going to be right there ready to start chasing. Fat Cat's already starting to almost break DRS. It's going to be a massive DRS train here, and we'll see that fastest lap change hands quite a few times. Currently in the hands of Chandler's, but it may change yet again. Wonton shaking for the move on Aina's Raiden, but so far, the move will not be made, and kind of an interesting situation to find yourself in if you're a Watanabe. Sandwiched between a V-Carb and a Red Bull. So you got two different Red Bull machines, both of them equally as potent here, as Miracidon still tries to shake for a move here. McJammy, though, has really called the Fat Guy here, Kaus.
Yeah, it's been a really good restart for Miracidon. Wonton loses the position finally to Miracidon. He also made a great move on Ryan Adair in the first sector off the restart. Miracidon did so. Really good getting the moves done on this medium compound tire, and that's what he needs to do, and try to cut his way through the grid as much as possible. A little bit of a sleeper pass at the back. I did see Dito make a move on Midas out the back. He also did have the fastest lap as we ran around for the first lap after the safety car. So hopefully he can make some moves from the back and cut through the field as well. But he is on the harder compound tyre, so it may be a little bit more difficult as maybe Miracidon is finding it very, very easy on these medium compounds. Ryan Adair looked like he did have an off on his own, unfortunately. So hopefully he can find his way back up the field. We've got some fastest lap. We're currently in the 125s at the moment with these guys, and there's some moves going on all over the place. It looked like Dito did get the move on Zach's user as well at the back, as well as Ryan Adair getting the move done on Midas Mella. So hopefully we can see McJammy make a move on Fat Cat soon. There's a bit of a train emerging, and there's a gap. The first gap with the DRS, I think, is from Dito to Martin. So maybe Dito will have to make some big gains to get back into that train. There's a fight going on for P2. Chandler's looking up on the outside of McJammy there, but we'll have to just tuck back in and choose to fight another day. And maybe we can see him have a move go on to the start-finish straight as they negotiate these next few corners. And his rating seems to be dropping a little bit back from Chandler's in that lap, so maybe we can see him get pulled in by Miracidon and make another move Rakidon is really driving the wheels of this car at the moment, and Chandler's unfortunately gives himself a 3 second time penalty trying to keep up with McJammy. So he'd want to really get this move done here in the start finish, and we'll see if he can get it done. Looks like they had a bit of a not the greatest exit, so looks like he probably won't be able to make the move this time around, Rekus.
Yeah, on top of that, I mean, McJamie also has DRS because of Fat Cat, so he's going to be in a bit of a tricky spot here. First of many track limit violations I think we'll see tonight. Winter gets himself one as well. So, oh, and we see Chandler, he was looking for it. He was shaking for the gap, and he's pretty much right up at the back of McJamie now at this stage of the Grand Prix. And he is really going to try to put some pressure onto the de facto championship leader, or soon to be championship leader, depending on how this race goes. So McJamie I mean, he's running a good race here so far. He's keeping Fat Cat within touching distance, not letting him get outside of that DRS, because I think once Fat Cat gets out of that DRS, you're not going to get him back in it. So, for McJamie here, it's going to be absolutely crucial to not let Fat Cat escape that grasp of DRS. As we do have, like you said earlier, fights happening all across the field. Watanabe trying to go for a retake here, but he's under pressure from JDI. So JDI is going to be the one potentially looking for a move, but Wonton did get a bit of a better exit here, and he's going to go ahead and try to close it, but he does have a bit of an unsettled moment with his AMR 25, just getting a bit too wide there as he's going to continue on. Oh, McJamie, though, does lose the position to Chandler's. So Chandler's is up into P2. And now Chandler's, even though he does have that 3 second pen, he's going to try to have a go at trying to get Fat Cat here. He's going to give it a go. He's going to try his darndest to get that move done. And boy, oh boy. And to answer the question in chat, equal performance is on every division here in F1 or in Rush Racing League. Most leagues do run equal performance for everything. I know there's some specific ones that do realistic performance. Andre does get a 3 second time penalty for track limit violations, but Rocketon also getting a 3 second time penalty for track violations. It is up 9 out of 29 here, Cows. Lots of drivers really trying to fight it out here on track. Watanabe going to try to close in the gap to Marakedon. And the attempt is there, but not quite. Yeah, he loses a lot of it going into this turn one, is what I'm noticing from Wonton. Marakedon able to just basically put that Red Bull on rails to send it through turn one, but for Wonton, it is a bit of a trickier task to negotiate. As we see here, it is going to be Chandler's trying to close in to Fat Cat. He's going to continue. Winter gets more pens. So we're going to take a look at the penalties real quickly here. So it is 3 seconds for Chandler's, for Meraki, and for Andre, and 6 seconds for Winter at the moment. So probably not the only penalties we're going to have here, as we are only on lap 10 out of 29. And we're going to see some attempts here for some overtakes. It is not easy to get overtake because, I mean, the chat is already pretty much talking about it, but this track does get kind of notorious for its, well, track level violation for one. Is Ryan Adair, his day goes from bad to worse. The prancing horse is not exactly prancing at this point, but it is also known for its generational DRS trains, as we're seeing here.
Yeah, we kind of expected this, truthfully. So, yeah, it's just really hard to follow in the dirty air. And throughout the lap, there's a lot of turns and kinks, and it's a very high speed circuit even through the corners. So very difficult to try to get an overtake done the in the corners. I think there was a very opportunistic moment that Chandler's took here, as he does look like he has taken the lead of the Grand Prix away from Fat Cat. So great stuff from Chandler's made some two great moves so far. I did see the one on McJammy. He put the car nicely on the apex for turn number two. Wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It was a nice clean move and opportunistic, as McJammy did have wasn't really strong out of the corner. So opportunistic, yes, but Chandler's made the best out of it and capitalized. He looks to be pulling away from Fat Cat too, so very quick in this kick salva here tonight, Chandler's, as he's trying to maybe break the DRS. Can he break it in time? I don't think he can. Not this time around, but maybe in the next few laps we could see Chandler's break that DRS and potentially even drive away from the rest of the pack. So that would be really beneficial for him. And we'll see some more moves. It looked like JDI was very close to making a move on one ton. As we see Meraki still holding on to that position number 5 after having that fantastic start after the safety car restart. But yeah, I think this track has its own challenges, very similar to Hungary last week, where yeah, you kind of just need to get as close as you can to the car in front, try to build a little bit of a gap for yourself, not get hurt too much by the dirty air, and try to just make the move into the start finish. Very similar characteristics to Hungary last week, so. These drivers should be able to navigate these types of conditions. They're used to it. We had a 100% race last week in the similar conditions, so surely they can negotiate it with 50% tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, you can get some really good battles here, but typically this track, um, you see more battles when there's 2 wheels on the vehicle instead of 4. You do when this track, when MotoGP comes to this track, you do see a ton of battles for position, but also with the caveat of MotoGP bikes being a heck of a lot skinnier and shorter compared to Formula One cars. But the point still stands. You can have some battles here. WEC also has some pretty decent battles here, but I mean, multi-class really spices that one up. But yeah, as we are here on lap 13 out of 29, it's not the widest track. It does get pretty wide on the start-finish line, but that's basically about it. So, I mean, you can make some optimistic moves through Sector 2 if you're really brave, or in, like, going into Turn 4 or Turns 3 and 4, you can also try to shake for some moves, but for the most part, you really just you gotta really bide your time, get comfortable in the DRS train, and try to win it out basically on strategy, as 2 stops are pretty common here on the circuit due to the obscenely high tire deg, and I gotta feel we're gonna see some pit stops probably in the nearish future on the track. So I think we'll see a handful of pit stops probably no later than lap 16, maybe a bit sooner, as Winter now has 9 seconds of track level penalties. We're not even going to wait to that point because Meraki Don is into the pits. So he is going to go ahead and jump straight on in, getting off of those mediums and chucking on a set of hards that he'll try to manage for the rest of the race. But he is on controller, so tire wear is going to be a tough task for the American driver.
Yeah, I'd also think it doesn't help that the Div1 drivers are just very consistently good at driving these cars, right? I think that probably leans into the issue a little bit more as to why it's just such a train behind each other. But I think this is the point of the Grand Prix where you can make the difference. You can show that quality, show that race pace when you pit for those new boots. This is the time where you need to get the sector laps in and the sector times in to try to get him in the purple color section and see if you can make the difference and get a position or two up on your competitors. Martin getting himself a 3 second time penalty is not what you want to see when you're trying to get the lap times down. Meraki Don did change over to those hard compound tyre as well as Aiden is Raiden as well. So those are the two pit stops that I saw on that lap, and maybe we'll see a lot more as we go around for another lap here. Chandler's looks like he has broken that DRS to Fat Cat, so excuse me. Very, very good to see. Swith has made a move onto JDI here into turn one, so great move for Swith against a very, very fast driver in JDI. He was battling the likes of Wonton and Mjon earlier on in the race, so really, really good move for Swith, and we'll be looking to further his position further up the grid and maybe try to fight with Wonton further up the road. So good move for him. See how he will go in the next few stages of the Grand Prix. There seems to be a very big sort of chunk of drivers between P6 to P12 that all seem to be in this train with one another in very, very close proximity. And once again, Ryan Adair finds himself on the back of that train as he did last week as well. So maybe he can learn from those mistakes and those findings that he had last week in Hungary, and maybe he can improve on it and get the moves done and cut his way through the field, as we know he has the pace to do so. Pop Top does give himself a 3 second as well, as these penalties are starting to rack up, but I'm very interested to see if anyone will duck into the pits this time around. Looks like everyone's just going around for one more lap, maybe in the next few. We'll see how it all shakes out, Reckers.
Yeah, I was thinking people would have actually pit in by now. I wasn't actually really expecting a lot of the field to really stay out. Here's the drivers who have pitted in versus drivers who have not pitted in yet. So the top 6 plus Ryan have not pitted in yet. So we'll probably see them in the next 2 laps, I would say. I know I said lap 16 earlier, which I'm still surprised. These guys haven't pitted in yet, but it's probably going to be close to lap 20, I would say, for these drivers now, because they'll want to try to one stop, because the one stop is quicker on the track, so they'll probably want to get to lap 19, chuck on a set of mediums, and just try to get to the end. Whether that is possible or not, we'll just find out. I have been proven wrong time and time again on the strategy front. Chandler's, though, has actually broken away from DRS, like you mentioned earlier, but he is extending. He's almost broken out of the penalty range. And if Fat Cat and McJammy continue to battle here, if Fat Cat does have to make his car fat and do whatever he can to prevent McJammy from passing, then that time gap is going to increase. And maybe, just maybe, Chandler's might be able to break out of that 3-second margin that he needs. An undercut here would go great for Chandler's, actually, come to think of it. If he could pit in before Fat Cat and McJeremy, then I think that might be best case scenario here for the Kicksauber, as we do see quite a few drivers making pit stops now. JDI going to close in the gap. Martin setting the fast lap of the Grand Prix so far. And it is looking all very nice here for some of these guys. Some guys more than others, but it is going to be tricky business around this circuit, as McJeremy does try to close in the gap to his rival of Fat Cat. And they will be looking to do battle. And it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting indeed to see how everything is going to play out. McJeremy, though, is still going to try to close in. He's almost fallen out of DRS range himself, so maybe the tire degradation is just falling off. Maybe Chandler's is managing his tires a bit better than these two are. But yeah, I think Chandler's needs to go for the undercut if he wants to succeed here tonight. Because I think the win is possible, but he's not really pulling away as much as he needs to. As JDI and Swith going wheel to wheel, side by side. JDI retakes the position. And that'll be P5 for the kick Sauber as he is going to continue to try to pull away here. But Swith is really trying to add a lot of extra pressure. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at the tires, and we'll see how old the tires are, because everybody's going to start switching up here soon within the top 8. Well, pretty much everybody in the top 8 is going to probably pit in within the next 3 laps.
Yeah, we'll see them start to duck into the pits and change those boots over. I was just on board with Ryan Adair before not one ton, but Winter went into the pits, and he was kind of having some issues here, and I think he's got a puncture here. Rekus, I think Ryan Adair has punctured his front left tire.
Wow.
Trying to get around the circuit here, and hopefully he can get into the bits in time. Lap 17 is the break point for these hard compound tires, and obviously all that battling and being behind all the other drivers, probably not the best for him. And Aiden is ready, needs to make the move done quickly and get past Ryan Adair, and he does so eventually. But Ryan needs to get into the bits ASAP and try to mitigate this impact that he has from this puncture. It's really unfortunate for Ryan, but yeah, he was fighting quite hard with some drivers beforehand, so good that he got to the pits and no issues were ran into. Looks like we've got a battle between the RB and the Huss here, with Zach's user behind Meraki Don. Zach is obviously on those 17-lap old hard compound tires. As we jump on board with M-John and Wonton going through turn number 3. Looks like Wonton does come out ahead of that fight with M-John. Maybe just a little bit of a bump there from M-John to get the position back from Wonton.
Oh!
Takes to the inside and goes in front of his teammate. Wow, M-John just getting very ambitious with his car placement, and it's a kerfuffle here with 4 drivers. Wonton getting pushed around by the other hats of Zach's user. Eventually negotiates that in time, but JDI sees an opportunity to get ahead of Zach's user as well. It looks like Zach is going to be struggling with tire wear and plummets down the field.
Oh, we have a Haas around, actually.
Yes, that's Zach's user. He's trying to get out of the sand trap that he put himself in, and he's going to have to go around and get some new boots. So that was some very interesting racing here, as we see our leader for the race dart into the pits, and he's coming out on some medium compound tires. Of course, the 2 front runners at the moment, Fat Cat and McJammy, still haven't made a pit stop, but this is a very important break point for Chandler's to get some time down, and Wonton eventually does get that position back from John. So he will assume position number 6 until those 2 front runners decide to change their boots over. Everything all kicking off in those last few laps there, Records.
Yeah, apparently, even though I don't see it on my end, apparently they were asking for tires for about 7 laps or so. So sorry about that, y'all. But actually, looking at the mod view, those messages just did not exist. I don't know if it was a Twitch glitch, which I wouldn't be surprised. Twitch mobile is a bit of a pain sometimes, just like trying to manage the tires out here in the desert heat. But yeah, seeing that puncture on Ryan, I mean, it happened. It's like the one track on the calendar where esports punctures are likely to happen. So, I mean, it is just that abrasive of a track for tire wear. And now Chandler's, he'll want to get past, but he also wants to kind of milk that DRS a bit from the back of Aiden Raiden to really try to close in the gap. He'll want to get this pass done, though, on this start-finish line. So he's going to try to close in the gap. I think that McLaren there was a bit of a headache for the 2 front runners, and that is going to be as easy as you'd like it to be. And Chandler's back up into the P3, but the crucial thing is that McJammy and Fat Cat are both still well within DRS range, or yeah, they're still within DRS range of each other, and that is going to be tight stuff. It is. I mean, this is still going to help McJammy and Fat Cat a bit, but Chandler's right on the cusp of rejoining, but they're rejoining in the lead. But here's the thing, Chandler's, he needs to have 3 seconds on these guys to really make up, because right now If the race were to finish where it is right now, he would drop down to fourth because he's only about a second and a half away from Aiden's Raiden. But I mean, Aiden is on a bit older tires. I think he was one of the drivers who made the pits in the early stages. Fat Cat, McJammy in, and you can just see they were slamming on the brakes to try to get to that specific speed lane pit limit, and that is very, very. I mean, at least it didn't get a pen because that would have really just blown the door wide open for Chandler's here. So we'll see if Chandler's comes out ahead. It's going to be a tight one, and I think Chandler's will be able to get into the lead, but I don't think it's going to be by 3 seconds or so. Aiden, though, might be able to make things a bit difficult. Oh, that's close. I mean, taking a look at this here, it's close. Aiden, I mean, actually, Aiden could be a real pivotal factor here. Because if Fat Cat and McJammy aren't able to get past Aiden here, then if Chandler's can build out an extra 0.3 of a second for a gap, then this could be huge for the Kicksauber.
Yeah, very important last few laps remaining here as Chandler's still hasn't got that win locked sealed yet, as he does have that 3 second penalty. And yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there, Rekus. I think Aiden is Raiden needs to put on a fantastic masterclass of defense. But it looks like a Fat Cat will just drive past him going into this section of track. So Fat Cat looking to try to get the lap times down to take that P1 position away from Chandler's, as Fat Cat will have the 2-lap younger tyres. We'll see if Big Jamie will be able to make a move on Aiden is Raiden going into the start finish. Look, he should be able to make this move done, but we'll see if Aiden is Raiden can make it difficult. Nope, it looks like he'll even pass him before he even gets to the DRS zone. So looks like that RB wasn't going to be that big of an issue for those two front runners. Looks like JDI also got a move done on Marakidon looks like he got a move done on MJon. After those fighting after those crucial pit stops, looks like MJon is starting to fall down the pack a little bit, which is unfortunate to see. I think he showed a lot of quality in his first few races from what I've seen, so hopefully he can get the lap times down and start to build that momentum back up and maybe secure himself some points for himself and his team. But I think our focus will be on this front running for the remaining last few laps. And it looks like Fat Cat is very much closing down on Chandler's. He's got 6 laps to go. Will go down to 5 as they get to the start-finish straight. So he has a lot of time to be able to, of course, close that gap of the 3 second and may even make the move on track as well, Records.
Yeah, I mean, Chandler's, he put up a heck of an effort, to say the least, but unfortunately, just that penalty it did not do him any favors, really. And, I mean, credit where credit is due, Losail is a very tough circuit. It's one of the trickiest ones to really get a grasp on. Just because, fundamentally, it is a motorcycle track, so it doesn't flow like any of the other tracks on the calendar. It's got its own unique style that you're really gonna have to adjust to, its own specific flow that you have to go with, and that some drivers can adapt to that better than others, as MJon though is really trying to close in the gap. Oh, look at this gaggle we got back here. It is a Red Bull, a Haas, a V-Carb, a Williams, and we do have a retirement. It is Martin, but he's retired in the pits, so that will be no issues whatsoever, as Fat Cat is going to go ahead and he wants to get this done on the track. He's already got the position pretty much with pens, but as we come down to what is soon to be the final 5 laps of the Grand Prix, Chandler's is going to be under some pressure on track. As it sits right there, though, he will still get a podium, which is still going to be big points for that Kicksauber team, as McJammy is going to try to close down the gap, as Fat Cat is already trying to line up the move. He lines it up like he's lining up a haircut at the barber shop, and he cuts his way into P1 on the track. Nicely done there. Very clean cut from Fat Cat. And the Fat Cat does jump into P1 as we got 5 laps to go in the Qatar Grand Prix. And this is going to be, I mean, this has been a very well earned drive here from Fat Cat. But it ain't over till that checkered flag waves, Cows, as we have seen time and time again. If something is going to happen, if some kind of shenanigan happens where it drastically changes up the order, it's going to be now. It's going to be within the final 5 laps. It always is. We're going to say, oh, it's said and done, when it is indeed not said and done.
Yeah, 100%. And there's a lot that can still go on. We can still maybe potentially see Mick Jammy try to fight Fat Cat for the win potentially. Of course, Fat Cat does have the better of the two positions, but as I say that, Mick Jammy just gets that tire slightly outside of the line and gives himself a 3-second time penalty. So that will probably damper any sort of attempt to try to get the number one top step on the podium, but he can still fight Chandler's for position number 2. He just has to do it on track now as we're getting into the closing stages of this Grand Prix. We'll need to see Mick Jammy start to pull out some moves that you'll need to start to pull into that bag a little bit here, Rekis, and maybe even pull out some unconventional type moves. As speaking of unconventional, that is not the racing line, fellas. I'm on board with Meraki Don and M John fighting for position there. There's 5 guys, not the burger joint, fighting for position number 7. So we'll see. Hopefully, if Meraki Don can hold on for the Red Bull squad, as we do have a yellow flag in Sector 3. Zach maybe just had an off on his own. Doesn't look like he has a puncture of any kind, so he will continue on driving on the black stuff preferably and keep it in between the white lines. But yeah, my focus is on this position number 2, as Mick Jammy is very, very close on this time around. Really sticking to the back of Chandler's diffuser and really starting to see the inner workings of his gearbox while he's at it for good measure. Has a decent amount of ERS to try to make the move done. Will, of course, get that DRS as well. But it does look like he got the second best of the exit there, and Chandler's might be able to hold on to it this time around. But he does actually have DRS from Fat Cat, so he will be there for the taking for Mick Jammy around the outside as he tries to get the move stuck. Will get the power down, but they are still side by side here, Rekis. Chandler's trying to get ahead of Mick Jammy to hold on to that position number 2. Still wheel-to-wheel action here as we negotiate sector number 1. Mick Jammy does get slightly ahead, and Chandler's will have the outside lane for this one, but ducks to the inside. Woo! Great little ambitious move, but won't get the power down. Mick Jammy will take position number 2 and will look to drive away with this position, but Chandler's might have another run on him at the start-finish straight here, Rekis.
These guys are fighting like they are on motorcycles at the moment. Just running it to the ragged edge. And if these guys aren't careful, they're going to give themselves even more penalties. Almost to the point now, if Fat Guy gets a penalty, then he could still, I mean, even if Fat Guy got 6 seconds of penalties just out of the blue, I mean, he could still win this race. That's how much these guys are battling it out, because the first 3 seconds will cancel out. But penultimate lap here of the Grand Prix, and actually, I know you just did a lot of yapping, but on the penultimate lap, I'll let you take it away, and I'll wrap us up.
Beautiful. Thanks for that, Rekis. We'll see if Chandler's can make the move done and try to have another run at Mick Jammy. Is he going to try to dive to that inside? But very ambitious and honestly very lucky to not take out Mick Jammy there. He was very, very far back on that occasion. So very ambitious, but you've got to try to get these moves done. And at the end of the day, these guys are racing drivers. They want to try to get every little inch in position as much as they can so that they can get the bragging rights. They can get the... Oh, looks like we've got a Haas off the road. M. John did look like he ran into some issues. Katusha looks like he has... in a battle right now with Meraki Don, trying to get the position number 9. They're still going side by side. Don trying to duck his car on the outside and get the power down early, but Katusha does look like he has the better of him in this occasion, unless Meraki has something to say on the inside line. They're still going side by side, going into this very fast sweeping right-hander, and Katusha does just get his car barely in front of Don. There was a little bit of contact, but nothing egregious. So very clean from my perspective. That maybe they might submit and get the stewards to have another look at that. But we will be focusing on the front of the grid. Fat Cat will start the final lap in the front position, in position number one. Mick Jammy and Chandler's will be chasing each other down to try to fight for podium places here, Wreckers.
Exactly that one, Kelson. We are on the final lap of the Qatar Grand Prix, and the drivers are gonna go ahead and go for one last tour around the Losail International Circuit. He's got older tires, so I think he's just starting to fall away now. He needs to just be careful not to fall too far down because Aiden is rated could take a podium spot here. JDI trying to get a last minute move done here on to the Aston Martin of Wonton. Zach gets a 3-second pen. That'll be applied to the end of his race. As now Fat Cat is going to make his way through the last couple of corners here. And then he will take another win here this season. Try to close in the gap to the Jonno, as the reserve driver here tonight is going to get the win. He started from pole, and he has won the race here tonight. Fat Cat wins the Div1 Qatar Grand Prix. McJamie will come home in P2. Chandler's rounding out the podium. It was a valiant effort from the Kicksauber today, but in the end, it just wasn't quite enough. Aiden's rated will be next one across the line. It'll be Wonton ahead of JDI. And then Andre, Pop Top, Katiusha, and Marakadon will round out the top 10. In which order remains to be seen, as Andre just plummets down the order due to pens. And then it'll be M. John closing things out, as we do have the rest of the field here making their way across the line. A lot of penalties, a puncture even. You got to feel for Ryan. He really did. He just had bad luck this race, man. I mean, his pace was there, but his luck was just not. And, the puncture getting sent very wide off of lap one, all just really compounded. But your winner is the man on your screen, the Aston Martin driver of Fat Cat, taking another win this season.
Yeah, really experienced drive from Fat Cat. Made the move very, very simple on Chandler's to get that position one on track. Of course, he didn't need to get that position done because Chandler's did have himself a 3-second time penalty, but still feels good to get the move done on track, of course, and to get that number one top step deserved on track. So good race from Fat Cat, of course. A really good drive from Chandler's and McJamie. Unfortunately, Chandler's did lose out from position number 2 in the closing stages of the race. So really good race all around. Of course, your race winner is Fat Cat. Fastest lap McJamie. Driver of the day, Katusha in the Alpine. Great drive from him. And the cleanest driver is JDI. I will quickly just rattle off the final positions. Of course, as we mentioned multiple times, Fat Cat will get position number 1, McJamie number 2, Chandler's in position 3, Aiden is Raiden in position number 4, and to round out the remaining positions is Wonton, JDI, Pop Top, Katusha, Andre, and Marakidon for your top 10, and John, Swift, Dido, Winter, Ryan Adair, Zax, Midas, Martin, and Vettel, who those last two individuals did DNF and didn't finish and complete the entire race distance. But of course, unfortunate situation for Vettel, and it looks like Martin did retire into the pits there. Very interesting race. I think there was a period of time there that was looking like a bit of a snooze fest there, Wreckers, but once we got those pit stops sorted and all the drivers into the pits, there was some tussling for positions and changing of the orders. So did get exciting at the back end, but yeah, a great race from Fat Cat, and we'll go again next week.
Yeah, exactly that. So it was I mean, Qatar's just one of those tracks, right, where it's a race of attrition, and I think we did see that. The driver who did come out on top did not get any kind of penalties whatsoever. If penalties aren't a threat, punctures certainly are. So you really just, I mean, it's a tough track. Like, I mean, there's no sugarcoating it. It's not an easy track by any stretch of the imagination. The drivers really had to kind of manage a lot of different things. Qatar is a very unique circuit with its motorcycle construction and all. So I think the drivers did survive. We still got four more races of Qatar here this week. All of them are 50%. We got Div 2, Div 3, 4, and 5. And then we head on next week to another track that has its own very unique characteristics. It's a track that I personally love. Not exactly, I mean, I say it's for just about every track we go to, but not particularly a track I am good at. But it is Mexico. Mexico it's a different one because downforce, it's a track that on paper should be a low downforce because you have massive straights. But because of the elevation of this track, you are going to need a bit of a higher downforce setup. But we can yap about that track all week next week. We're gonna go ahead and kick start interviews. So we do have one of our interviewees in at the moment. So we're gonna go ahead and talk to the driver who did come in P3. You have Chandler's over there by you, Kaus.
Yeah, thanks very much, Reckers. Chandler's well done tonight, mate. You did have the top step position for a little bit in that Grand Prix, but unfortunately, that 3 second did come to give you some issues and some troubles, and eventually you did lose some positions in the back end of the race. Talk to me about that last few stints. It looked like you were really, really racy in the beginning stints, making very good moves done on Fat Cat and McJammy to be in the front of the grid, but unfortunately that last stint wasn't the best, unfortunately.
Yeah, um, in the first stint, I kind of just knew that I had to try to get my hards up to racing speed because of the safety car. But like before the safety car came out, I had almost passed Aiden, so I knew that I had pace, but like I just needed to give it time. When we went going again though, like the leaders were kind of driving slow, trying to hold the rest of the pack up, keep us bunched up. So I just wasn't having that. So I just made a couple of passes, and they let me breach like 2 seconds. So I was okay with that. The clear air held my tires, so I was able to extend a little longer. But then the moment that they started catching me, I knew that this was the real pace. So it was just kind of it was never a winning situation.
Yeah, well, you put yourself in the best possible position in the circumstances, but yeah, look, P3 is still a fantastic position to end the race on. Let's not downplay that for a moment. You drove a fantastic race, and of course, you were setting the pace for a good part of that race, so you should be proud of that. Looking forward into the next few weeks, do you think that this potentially this kind of position on the podium could be something you want to do a little bit more consistently? Do you think that you can have a chat with us more often to the next few weeks here, Chandlers? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think if I'm not busy, because I've been very busy lately, yeah, I should be able to attend the podium a little bit more, but Mexico and Italy aren't my greatest tracks, so yeah, that might be a bit of a hindrance, and I'll be away for like 2 or 3 weeks, so I may or may not be out of the podium for a while, but we'll see.
Well, other than that, Chandlers, as I mentioned before, you drove a great race. P3 is nothing to snob at, and you did set the pace, as I mentioned before. But congratulations on position number 3. I'll see if Rekus has got any questions for you, mate. But well done tonight.
Yep.
I just want to ask you real quick before we let you go here. Is there anyone you'd like to give a special thanks or a shout out to here tonight?
special thanks or shout out to? No one in particular. I mean, because Fat Cat was kind of like giving me a like 2 second gap, so that was pretty fire. But I knew it was a part of the game. I wasn't gonna fight Fat Cat, but I do appreciate that I was given the chance to fight someone by Meowsy with his 3 second. That was a bit of fun.
All right. Well, once again, congratulations on your podium, and we'll maybe see you next week in Mexico.
Alrighty, thank you.
All right. Jumping now from P3 to P2, we got Meowsy, aka McJammy. So, McJammy, you had a pretty fun run here tonight. How was your experience on track here?
I mean, I was just saving tires with Fat Cat for at least 80% of the race. I don't. We were about a second or second half slower per lap, so it was just about who can save the most and who can just like put it to the actual times at the end of the stint. So yeah, I got a bit close to Fat Cat towards the end of the first stint, but my second stint wasn't as good, and me driving off track on a straight didn't help because I got a warning, and that gave me the three. So that was fun. Um, so yeah, I guess that incentivized channels to defend me harder, which basically cooked me in my battle with Fat Cat because I had no chance catching back up. So oh well, I wouldn't have gone him anyway.
Indeed, yeah, it's a tire management track. I mean, it's a real race of attrition here in Qatar, and I know it's not everybody's bread and butter. But taking a look at next week, we are going to go ahead and have a fiesta in Mexico City. High elevation, surprisingly high downforce. How do you feel about Mexico next week?
It's okay. I don't know. I haven't raced in a while, but just basically a mid track for me. It's not my favorite. It's not my least favorite though, so it'll be interesting, I guess. Though I do anticipate DRS trains will be quite apparent and definitely a lot of time saving.
All right, well, once again, congratulations on the P2, and I'll pass you over to Kaus if he's got any other questions or comments.
Yeah, I do, Rekis. I'll say, McJimmy, well done tonight, mate. You drove a really fantastic race. I think you might feel a little bit hard done by that 3 second. Potentially, you could have had a run at Fat Cat. Of course, you mentioned there that you might not have the pace or maybe match the ability, but I think that you've shown some qualities here to fight anyone on this grid. From what I've seen over the last few weeks that I've been commentating. Do you think that maybe that just comes down to maybe a little bit of a mentality or perspective, or do you think that you generally don't have the pace to fight someone like Fat Cat in races like today?
No, I haven't touched this track this game. This is like my second race here, so I think I have like under 4 hours around here. So I'm just not. I don't really know where to drive, and obviously Fat Cat is like goaded, so it's a bit hard to match his pace when I'm a bit washed around this track. But um, I do imagine that in other races, well, even if I was in DRS, I would have brought the fight to him, but I don't think I would have gotten the overtake. Is it what I was really trying to say? So I don't think the 3 second mattered.
Yeah, fair enough. And one final question for me: is there any? I'll do the Rekis here. Is there anyone that you want to give a special shout out or a little bit of the flowers that you want to give to tonight here, McJamie?
Yeah, Duh for being a great TP, and Fat Cat for giving me his setup even though I suck at it. So yeah.
Beautiful. Well done tonight, mate. P2 is a fantastic result, and hopefully there'll be a less of a fiesta that you have to negotiate next week in Mexico. Well done tonight, mate.
Thanks.
All right, last but most certainly not least, Kaus, I'll let you take away the first batch of interviews with our race winner tonight in Fat Cat. Over to you.
Thank you, Rekus. Fat Cat, well done tonight, mate. Great drive. I think you were the only one of the podium sitters that didn't have a 3 second time penalty. Have you had a lot of hours on this track? You feel very comfortable with the track limits and negotiating the ins and outs of the circuit tonight?
I got on, I changed my camera settings and drove.
Based, my goat. I'll just quickly ask as well. There was a period of time in that early stint where it did look like Chandler's was driving away with it a little bit. Did you kind of just let him go? Did you kind of feel that you knew that the tires were going to come to you? You'll be able to fight him in the second part of the stint of the race.
Yeah, we just saved. Our tires were like low 60s when we boxed, so.
Beautiful. Well, you drove a great race tonight, mate. So congratulations. It was very, very well done. Of course, top step is nothing to scoff at. So yeah, well done, and we'll see you next week in Mexico. Well done.
All right, Mr. Fat Cat. I know you were just talking about Mexico next week. Do you think it's going to be a similar story to Qatar, or do you think it's going to have its own set of crazy challenges that you'll have to navigate?
Definitely its own way different terms of characteristics.
Yeah, it is. It's not nearly as abrasive on the tires, but it is. It's a track where downforce is a bit trickier to find just because of the thinner air and the higher elevation that the circuit sits at. think it's I think it even has higher elevation than Spa, which is pretty crazy to think about. But last question before I go and let you go: is there anybody you would like to give a special thanks or a shout out to here tonight?
Yeah, definitely Meowsy. Number 1G. I just think he needs to stop putting himself down sometimes.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean it's really easy for drivers, commentators, anybody really to be really hard on themselves. I've always learned that you're going to be your harshest critic. But yeah, we'll see you next week in Mexico City, and congratulations on the win once again, Fat Cat.
Thank you.
Alrighty then, that's going to go ahead and wrap things up here in Division number 1. And it's been a fun time here tonight. Drivers had to really learn how to manage their tires here. Tire management was definitely the name of the game, and keeping it within the white lines. But if this is kind of the action you like to see, we got 4 more rounds ahead of this exact track. Div 2 takes on this circuit tomorrow. Should be a good time. Be sure to go ahead and drop a follow if you are brand new. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in. And before we do our final shoutouts, Cows, any final words, mate?
Yeah, it was. I think we'll strap it in for a bit of a ball fest, but it actually came in to be quite entertaining at the latter stages of the Grand Prix. So it was great racing to seeing some inter-team battles as the two Haas drivers going wheel to wheel. Saw some great racing from Don, Katusha getting an opportunistic move. So great racing all around. Well done, lads, tonight. Hopefully we can still keep it clean next week in Mexico, and I think we've kicked off with a great race for this week of racing. You reckon?
Exactly that. We're going to be going ahead and getting the mariachi band ready for next week. But in the meantime, 4 rounds are still going to play out in front of your eyes over the next couple of days with more Qatari action here at the Losail International Circuit. I want to give a special thank you to all of our sponsors, Sim Racing Center, SimLab, and Pagnian Advanced Simulation. A massive thank you to those sponsors for continuing to support us week in, week out, as well as our very awesome Twitch viewers who have chimed in this week. I know we had some new people in the chat. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in. Be sure to follow So it may be your first time. We hope it definitely is not your last. We do have some really good races coming up for you here in the future. On behalf of Callus, my name has been Patrick Coleman, aka Ruckus, and we have been your hosts and commentators for tonight's action. Tune in next time when it is a fiesta in Mexico City. Stay hydrated and have a good night. Goodbye.